Guess who's back? Back again. Football's back. Tell a friend. Guess who's back? 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 That's right, man. We are back, and it feels so good. I love the game day grind where we're just watching the stupid Vikings play. We're eating like 19 bowls of chili. We're talking ish and having a good time. And I don't even care that the Vikings lost. It's preseason. Who cares? What really matters is the Vikings may have themselves a QB2. The second team offensive line looked pretty damn good. The Vikings have the deepest running back room in the league, and the defense is going to get some sacks. Like they're going to get some pressure, man. It's going to be a good time. But, of course, as tradition on the channel, we have winners and losers. Now, as we usually do 5 and 5, but since this is preseason, I mean, we have to do the monster one. And also, don't pay attention to the numbering, mainly just because I just threw them up there as we thought about them. But anyways, we're going to start... Should we start positive? Yeah. So Tai Chandler, the rookie running back coming out of the North Carolina University, formerly of Tennessee, and the entire offseason and training camp, we called him Baby Kamara. Even though Kamara plays on a stupid team, respect his talent. I think that Tai Chandler has just so much agility and explosiveness, and he's got that wiggle to him. And I think that he has a chance to be a really special player. He had 5 carries for 50 yards, looked really good. That second team offensive line was amazing, by the way. Also had that long kick return. How long was it? That's what she said. 56 yards. Nailed it. So the Vikings have a nice duo of running backs who can also return kicks, Tai Chandler and King Kene. Kene and Nwanga also had himself a damn fine game. Asamoah, the rookie linebacker from Oklahoma, where he had one issue on special teams early, but you saw the heat-seeking missileness of him, like we talked about. The dude just finds the football. Now, sometimes he over-pursues his lanes, and sometimes he loses gap discipline, but he's out there making plays, and I think that Asamoah and Kendricks, long-term, even though Kendricks starting to age out, but Asamoah is going to be that guy. In terms of your inside linebacker, I think that he's going to be a heartbeat of that defense coming up. The starting defensive line was fantastic as well. Diesel, Dalvin, Harrison Phillips, Armand for Watts. They set the line of scrimmage, and even though they got marched on that first drive, I don't think it was so much to do with the defensive line. Like if Kendricks was in there in coverage as well as scraping and filling some of those running lanes, I think that the Vikings would have had a couple 3 and outs early on. But overall, extremely impressed. Especially Harrison Phillips is a man amongst boys. I mean, it's just really unfair the way that Harrison Phillips has been operating. It's fantastic. Also, second team offensive line, left to right. You got Kyle Hinton, the pride of Washburn University, looking really good. Austin Schlottman at center, as well as right guard and Ingram. Ed Ingram needs to start. Those guys look good because one of the big reasons why Tai Chandler and King Kene had such big rushing days is because those lanes were wide open, man. It was fantastic. Now, you could say that's an aspersion on the Raiders' defensive front seven, but no, the Minnesota Movement Company was getting out there, getting after him, man. Also, love Kevin O'Connell's play calling. It seemed like he actually had a plan as opposed to, I don't know. Let's run. Which one of Daddy's plays are we going to run today? No, but Kevin O'Connell, of course, coming from the Rams, and yes, it's going to be a dialed back, vanilla offensive play. I don't want to watch Fox 9. I don't want to watch Fox 9 original programming. Off. Nailed it. So I think the Vikings are going to be in good hands of Kevin O'Connell. Plus, in terms of game management, yes, it's a preseason game, but overall, you felt relatively good, especially towards the end of the halves. Plus, Jonathan Bullard really stepping up. I think that he is probably going to be the third defensive end behind Dalvin Tomlinson, as well as Armand for Watts, until guys like Jalen Twyman, until guys like Usezi really step up. Lewis Seen looked good in limited action. He started in place of Harrison Smith. Like he didn't have any Lewis Seen moments, but overall it looked good. Schlottman, like we mentioned, maybe Schlottman should get into the derby for a starting center because Bradbury was whatever as a starter on the first 2 drives when the ones played, and Chris Reed has been that guy with the second team, but maybe Schlottman should get in there. All right. Trishan Jackson, the pride of Syracuse, former Los Angeles Ram. He's a guy that we brought up a lot during training camp, where he's seen some flashes. He's familiar with the offense, and I do think, as of right now, I think that he's clearly wide receiver 5. T.Y. McGill had a couple of sacks, a veteran journeyman, backup nose tackle, defensive tackle. I think he looked really good. I think that he is probably a pretty solid bet to make the 53. And then we get to Kellen Mond. Now, like I said, ignore the numbering and ranking, because Kellen Mond is probably the biggest winner of this game, where he, shaky first drive, but after that, he really settled in and looked phenomenal. And Kellen Mond ended up 9 of 14 for a $119, 2 touchdowns, a 130.7 quarterback rating. And overall, I do think that what you saw from Mond, you saw a lot more highs than you did lows. And there was a lot more good, and then there was bad and ugly, although there was some bad and ugly. Now, the whole thing about Mond is, like we said, you have to treat him like a rookie quarterback. Last year was basically a redshirt year, whatever. And Kevin O'Connell, Kwesi Adofo-Mensah, they could have drafted any quarterback in the draft. They decided to roll the dice with Kellen Mond, and I think it's starting to pay off, because even though he hasn't been that great at training camp and practice, he's been really up and down. I think this game, he limited his amount of downs. He raised his amount of goods and ups. So I think he looked really good. I mean, a couple of those strikes to Myron Mitchell looked good. He just missed on a couple of throws. I mean, the first one to BC Johnson in the end zone, the out and up, was a fantastic back pylon throw. And then the slant touchdown to Burt Wilson for the first touchdown was fantastic. The 20-yard wheel route to Burt for the second touchdown was a dime. So I think that the Vikings do have a QB too. I think they potentially have a quarterback of the future as well. And Sean Mannion played fine. Sean Mannion played like Sean Mannion. He was perfectly, he's perfectly serviceable. 8 of 12 for 79 yards, 85.1 quarterback rating. He had 2 sacks. One of the sacks was more on him. Actually, you can make a case that both those sacks were on him, but that's whatever there. But either way, I do think that the Vikings have themselves a quarterback in Kellen Mond, and kind of feels nice. It kind of feels nice, man. Burt Wilson, like we said, 2 touchdowns. Maybe he crawls his way into the wide receiver 6 conversation, as well as if ISM and Jalen Naylor don't step up at punt returner, maybe Wilson, who's been taking some punt return snaps, maybe he gets himself back into the derby. We'll see. ISM, the wide receiver, was good. He had 3 catches for 31 yards on 5 targets, but ISM, the punt returner, Kyle Big Hinton, I think that he's really solidifying himself as a backup left guard. Now, will that be enough to make the team? It's going to be tough with Chris Reed and Schlottman and Ed Ingram and Ezra and Bradbury and also Jesse Davis in the mix, but I think he's making a good showing for himself. Ed Ingram, like we mentioned, stud. Patrick Jones is second. I think that the move to a 3-4 is greatly going to benefit him. He looks really smooth as a stand-up outside linebacker. He's added a lot of pass rush moves, and he's got some great strength. Not only does he have speed and quickness, but he's got some absolute great strength. He's got a really good bull rush. I think that he could be that pass rusher 4. Behind DJ, and then of course Za'Darius and Daniil Hunter starting. Then you got Ed Donatel, his defense. Yes, preseason, yes, vanilla, but I mean that 2-4-5 nickel looking really good. Zach McLeod had some flash plays. Got lost a couple times in terms of keeping his lane against the run. Sort of is what it is. But I think Zach McLeod, I think he'll show enough as a pass rusher that it will be dangerous to try and get him on waivers and put him on the practice squad. So maybe he makes the 53. We'll see. And of course, Myron Mitchell, primarily working with the 3s, had 2 catches for 37 yards on 2 targets on that final touchdown drive. He's had himself a nice camp. Glad to see that he's healthy and getting after it again. Losers. So Andrew Booth Jr., a little bit rough. It had a number of penalties, including that 36-yarder. So he gave up a 21-yard catch. He had pass interference, and then he had a face mask, which was personal foul. So 36 yards of penalties. Ain't great. No bueno. Jesse Davis gave up that sack that killed the drive on the first time around. Shondon Sullivan really struggled out of the slot. That's been one of the stories of camp, him in the slot. It's not going great. Where I don't know, the Vikings may have to check out other options. Troy Dye. I don't think that Troy Dye should be linebacker 3. I think it should be Asamoah. But I understand you give the edge to the veterans to start. But, I mean, Dye, he's fine. He plays some good special teams. But especially that big gain on the opening drive where Kendricks shuts that thing down. Troy Dye, whatever. Refs, we know. Vikings penalties, they were bad. But a lot of it was ticky-tack from the refs. Bradbury wasn't good or bad. And he's in the loser department because he needed a good game. He needed to absolutely shut down and stonewall the Raiders, especially since the Raiders were sitting a lot of their starters. But I don't think he put in a performance that's going to wow you one way or the other. So I don't know. ISM muffed a punt return. Just not, well, he didn't muff it. He just fielded a very poor one where it should have been a fair catch or should have let it bounce, even though, yes, that's dangerous, but it was up the sideline, whatever. Perry Nickerson. Now, thing about the Vikings DBs in training camp is that they really stress going for knocking out the ball, and he tried to do that, but it turned into a touchdown for DJ Turner, who turned it up, and whatever. Yeah, well, it's like we said, if you're gonna make a mistake, make a big mistake, but that was a big mistake. Kind of sucked. Josh Metellus dropped an interception, had a couple of other issues as well. Metellus, I like as a backup safety, but as a backup, as well as he plays some good special teams. A second and third team defense was kind of booty, whatever. Jalen Naylor muffed a kick return. Brian Koback, man, the pride of Toledo. I was talking big about you, man, but I mean, he had a couple of drops out of the backfield, even though that's not really his forte. He's more of a running back, but whatever. Sean Mannion, I wouldn't even put him in the losers category. I put him more inert category because you got exactly what you would expect from Sean Mannion. Fine. It's whatever. Wyatt Davis, who has been running with the threes. Kyle Hinton lapped him, and then he got fooled on a TNE stunt. Him and Timon Paris didn't have good communication, but yeah, the dream might be dead there. It's unfortunate. And so I wrote down O'Connell rotating his quarterbacks because first quarter was Mannion, second and third it was Mond, and then Mannion came out for the first drive of the fourth quarter, and then Mond came in for the second drive. I initially didn't like it, but then Kellen Mond on that final touchdown drive looked really damn good. So I think you should let guys, quarterbacks, develop a rhythm, and I don't think that accomplishes that. But now, I mean, it clearly cemented Kellen Mond as the winner, so I guess we could take that one off. But sort of is what it is there. But like we said, the main thing was Kellen Mond is QB2. Mannion, maybe not so much. I think that's the biggest takeaway from this Jabroni preseason game. But hey, this is why preseason does matter, because it allows bottom of the roster guys, key backups, to really develop and get some game experience and impress. Where it makes you feel a lot better. Whereas, hey, if Kellen Mond didn't have this preseason, where he's getting all these reps of the new offense and he's starting to look good at spots, versus if he had to come in cold during the regular season, no. But overall, football is back. Glad to see it back. There's some definite highs. There's definitely some lows. And there's definitely winners and losers. Who were your winners and losers? Let us know in the comment section below. Subscribe for daily Vikings takes. Want to support the work? Put a little something in the Venmo. But till next time, Skull Production Value.